So I booted up Anthem after not playing it for quite a long time. I figured we checked it out again, see how it does, what has changed in the time we haven't played, and it seems that it's barely even getting any notice these days, well except that one time during E3 that kinda became like a meme and a cringe moment at the same time.
Talk to me, what's happening?
Listening to player feedback.
NANI? A hug for me!
But outside of that, the once bleeding player base has now morphed into a slowly dripping player base. There's still some people left playing, though very few still remain, and I don't think there are more than a few thousand or maybe even 100 players left in the game, at least on the PC version. And what this does is that it generally gets me concerned about BioWare's ability to even extract enough feedback from their public test phase. And I don't mean just general stuff like, oh, just increase the loot or bring new and more enemies. I mean something more specific than that, including details about problems we encounter step by step and all of that. But anyway, this doesn't seem to affect BioWare somehow, like their schedule is still pretty much the same. They're still continuing to put in work at their own pace it seems, so let's dive right in and see what has changed in the time we were absent, as well as what features are planned by the company for the near future. Of course, a thumbs up would be super appreciated as well, so let's dive right in. Now I gave the public test server another go after not playing it for over a week and haven't been on the main servers for over a month I believe. I'm definitely seeing some improvements on the PTS. There is new content, which mostly comes in the form of these new platforms that are now available in the Cataclysm area. Previously only 3 arenas were accessible, but now it seems that all with the exception of maybe one can be accessed and completed, and this leaves room for more points to be gathered, which in turn hopefully means that we get to spend more time and more, points in the new item shop, which by the way is still not yet introduced, it's still disabled. Hopefully will get introduced soon enough. So all of these new arenas have some brand new puzzles, some new stuff to complete. They also look pretty cool, and I did notice a new enemy type. I'm not sure if I saw it before. It's called a Rift Master and it moves and attacks very similar to the Dominion Fury, though I can't really be 100% sure because as soon as I saw it coming up, I panicked and tried killing it before he would do the same to me. So yeah, he might have some purple attacks instead of red attacks. That is pretty much the distinction I saw compared to the Dominion Fury. And yes, I did get scared of it because I was playing solo for most of the fight, or at most I had another player on some other part of the map, but everything I've done, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 arenas, was me solo through the entire Cataclysm. Still, outside of that, there has been some improvements, no doubt. The PTS is more stable at the very least, there are better indicators of what's going on the map, the Cataclysm effect doesn't outright destroy you in 1 second, and I did test Vera, which is the end boss, once more to see if there's anything new to her, and to my surprise there is. She has some new attacks she can use, though I still think there are a few missing. The attack effects, especially around some of the fire skills, have been improved to be, more deadly and more visual, and I really enjoyed some of the visual effects on those fire attacks, like some of them seem to appear like lava, and they definitely look cool. So she can even spawn enemies, by the way, Dominion enemies, though it would have been nice if these enemies spawn corrupted just as much as she is corrupted by the Cataclysm. That would have made more sense from a lore point of view. I mean, she was pretty much engulfed by the Cataclysm when she tried doing that thing she tried doing with it. I'm not sure why she wanted to do it, but she got corrupted, and yeah, the enemies she summons should have been also corrupted as well. She doesn't glitch out like before, so no spasm going on, but again, she only seems to be using fire and ice attacks and is currently missing her toxic and electric ones. At least that's my impression from the data mine that has been done on her. Still, with that being said and done, I was able to solo her on Grandmaster 1 with a semi-decent equipped Storm. I think that is possible with most of the classes. She isn't that complicated if you know what you're doing and if you learn her patterns, and yeah, it's a pretty fun boss, but Grandmaster 1 is super easy and I was kinda over-equipped for it. Now this isn't where it all ends. Of course, we have some new announcements from one of the community managers, and there are more things planned for the PTS And for now, I'm just going to read the announcement as it explains everything. So the message starts with, it's time for updates on PTS and what we're doing over the next couple of weeks. To start, we're turning on more of the arenas in the Cataclysm over the weekend. Some of you may have already noticed, but 5 arenas are now active as of today. There were only 3 active previously. On midday Saturday, which is of course today, we'll be turning on 7 arenas that are in the Cataclysm to let you experience them all, and I think they're all pretty much activated right now. Feel free to jump in and check them out if you're on PC. You may also have noticed that we didn't have a new build this weekend. This is because the team is currently working on implementing some of the feedback that you all provided us, and so that we can have a build with even more changes for you to check out in the near future. We'll provide more updates once the next build is ready to go on the PTS. So yeah, the updates are coming in rather slowly. It feels like there's just a small team of people working on this game, which wouldn't necessarily be ruled out given the past rumors and the whole situation going on with the company and the game in general. But still, there's a very loyal and also very small number of players left in the game that are still giving in some feedback. The forums have a few hundred topics and replies each, with a handful of new topics each day and several replies, so most of this feedback came in the first days of the PTS. We're now just getting like a few per day. I don't think there's more than 1,000 people in it at the moment, which is why I said that I'm concerned about BioWare's ability to pull in enough quality feedback, at least something more than just generalized rants about the game. If we take a look at Anthem subreddit, for example, I think there's only like 500 people left online, and at the peak there's like 1,000 at most. Most of the time I'm seeing them going around 800, and that is very low compared to other games similar to this. So for example, Division 2 has way more than this, like a few thousand people at any given moment. I believe that even No Man's Sky has way more people than the Anthem subreddit has right now, and even though it's not a full indication of the game itself, it definitely is reflective of the current interest that players have in Anthem in general. And even the number of members in total on the subreddit itself has gone by roughly 1,000 each day. So it was like 200,000 when the game came out, and every day since then, or at the very least every day in the past month or so, 1,000 players have unsubscribed from the Anthem subreddit, and it's going to go down even more than this. So roughly 20,000 players, I believe, have left the subreddit since the game released, which is absolutely insane. I mean, so many people not giving two damns about the game, and I get it why. I mean, you already see what's happening on this channel because I'm not covering Anthem that much as I did before. And in the upcoming weeks, I hope that we get to see more of the seasonal store, which is currently disabled. The war chests that can be bought from it, I also want to see those. These can be bought with the Cataclysm points, and hopefully they are not too RNG. And also, of course, the new items, including the data mined weapons and the new abilities we saw. Some of them look really awesome. Some of them have been requested by the players because they were shown in the old trailers and they never made it to the game. Also, the melee gear is something that I want to see more of, because right now I don't think anything drops for that particular slot. And finally, of course, the Cataclysm development. There's probably going to be another big boss left after Vera, as it was implied from the ending cutscene, so at the very least I'm expecting that to happen at some point, as well as some other missions to explain it in the process. In contrast, for example, Fallout 4 and Bethesda are doing probably better than ever, or at the very least better than how it was in the beginning days of Fallout 4. And it was really comparable to how Anthem started, but it seems that Fallout 4 now is turning into a much better game. It's receiving much more content, it had a much bigger panel at E3, and overall confidence is growing more and more compared to Anthem, and this can be seen by the amount of players that are still left playing. Now, before ending this video, there's some new updates for the live servers as well, but only for the in-game vanity store. There's just some few items over there, a lot of them are new. So there's this new Storm Onyx armor set, which is probably the only one worth it over here. I think this would be the only one that I would pay like 61,000 coins if I had the coins to begin with, which I don't because I've spent them in the past. Then we have a new vinyl for, well, every javelin, and some emotes as well as a fabric. So most of it's new, and I wanted to let you guys know because of this, though I'm not really sure how many of you guys are even logging in these days. That is with the latest news though and information. I wish I could bring you guys a little bit more than this, but things haven't moved too fast in, well, the past few months, so so it will take quite a long time until Anthem even reaches a more playable state. It's going to take a long time until we finally get something major, but until then I hope you guys enjoyed this video and the info, and if you did, then make sure you hit that like button to show your support. Also subscribe to the channel and activate that notification button, and I will see you guys next time, so peace out.